And Antoine, what do you think are some of those practical strategies or techniques that you found effective in calling out problematic and behaviour amongst male peers?
Thanks, Dean. Yeah, I think it's important to, I guess, be the person that speaks out, not be afraid of, being singled out. I think Mike mentioned that before, that sometimes you feel like, you're singled out because you're speaking out, you're speaking against, some preconceived ideas that are sometimes culturally ingrained. So I think the first step is not being scared to speak out, but then there's ways to, speak out in a manner that is respectful. Listen to the opinions of the person that said, the sexist joke, or talk in a bad manner regarding their partners. So there's ways to have those conversations in a non-confrontational way, and really listen to the perspective of the other person, and then explain that this is not okay because it's further ingraining that sexism and that, I guess, toxic masculinity sometimes, and it's really detrimental to women and the perception of women, especially amongst men. And so I think Dylan just mentioned it, trying to do it with a little bit of humor as well sometimes really helps as well. Trying to really, I think the most important is trying to come at as non-confrontational, try to ask questions. I found that asking questions of why do you say this, or what do you think this way, is often a really good pathway to open those conversations, and really take down those barriers. And often it shows that, well, it's just the norm or the accepted norm, from a cultural background, or because I'm a man, this is the way I've got to think. Yeah, I think the main thing is being non-confrontational, being a good listener, provide examples where possible how this can really negatively affect women, and yeah, where possible, doing with humor, and really be open to those conversations.
Yeah, I love that. I love the curiosity in that approach, asking questions and listening, and seeking to understand as opposed to being understood. And I really think it is important that we aren't confrontational in how we intervene there, because as neuroscience and offender rehabilitation has shown us, is a shamed brain doesn't learn. So we're not going to shame anyone into changing behaviour. So I like asking questions and trying to understand and providing those examples that are counter to that narrative. And maybe Adam, could you touch on, I guess, some more strategies or conversations there, speaking from your experience in the bystander program?
For me, it's a practical approach. I believe in, to find the effective way of getting around to communicating with a person who unfortunately uses violence, or is thinking about that this is the life that they're going to be living in. It's getting them to understand what is the basis of their attitude, what is the root of bringing that anger to the surface and causing it to direct itself at their partners. Identifying that, and I think that if you can identify those triggers, is demonstrating that you've got some strategies in place to walk away from those acts that might really be something that you do regret, not only in the near future, but for a very, very long time in your lifestyle, in your life there. So I think you've got to think about things that you put in your way. You might think that alcohol is good for you, and it's soothing, and it's what keeps you calm. But in the end, you don't understand that the effects of it is going to cause you to become negative in the end, and cause you to act out. You don't understand where did the trigger come from. They're getting them to understand that, and being able to think that if they learn to break those triggers, they learn to break the cycle of the violence that comes around. So you consider what is it that brings the anger to the surface, and then you think of strategies to address them. Some people, and I know a lot of people who do that. They'll go for a jog. They'll walk away. They'll say, look, they'll express themselves verbally and say, this is I can't seem to go on this in this conversation without feeling I'm going to get physical. Can you help me with that? Opening up and talking to their partners. These are the things that they've got to identify. What will work for them? That's where I think those strategies should come up. Identify the trigger. Think about what can break the cycle. Make sure that your partner's aware of it, and then action your ways of breaking those cycles.